I think, everybody just gotta be aware of the woke left, because I will successfully make you feel shame. Guys, everybody just gotta be a bit more accepting of everybody else, and everybody gotta get more woke. Everybody gotta get more woke. I don't know what happened to the woke left, but we have halved in size. I don't know where the rest of you went. I don't know why suddenly all you want to be housewives, and all of you want to provide for your man, or you want your man to provide for you, and you want to have 18 children. But we gotta wrap it up. Because I can't physically fucking take this life anymore. Today, I want to talk about the rise of conservatism and the revival of the tradwife within younger generations of women. Because I feel like within my own generation, within people my age group, can I form a fucking sentence? Why is everything up? Because people, even within my age group, which bear in mind I'm 18 years old. No, I'm not. Bro. So before I get into any of this, before I rant for hours and hours and hours, I'm going to give you the definition of a tradwife. I'm going to give you two definitions, because when I was actually searching for this, I found it interesting, because I found a definition where this has now been associated with a current day thing. Traditionally, a traditional wife was a woman who believes in and practices traditional gender roles and marriages. Some may choose to take a homemaking role within their marriage, and others leave their careers to focus on meeting their family's needs in the home. Now, the reason it's called a tradwife is because it used to be a tradition. It used to be the norm. It used to be what everybody expected from a woman, is exactly what you're picturing. A 1950s housewife taking care of her kids, making food for her husband. She's in a little apron, she's making a little pie, she's got her hair done and her lips are red, and her husband comes home and she gives him his food and then picks up the baby or puts him to bed, right? I hate how this kind of trend of a tradwife has come back to the point that women are now looking down on other women. They are now completely throwing away any idea of being independent, any idea of having a career. It's like, what is going on? What is going on? Why have you made yourself a fucking servant to your husband? This is not what we should be doing. We should not be going so far one way we come back the other way, because, it's all about, women having the choice to be a housewife, women having the choice to do this. But when you are choosing to be so subservient to your husband, we have now gone the complete opposite fucking direction. You have gone back to following the patriarchy, and I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if you think this is being a feminist. If you think being a feminist is doing whatever you want, your bitch ass is literally doing everything for a man, and you think that this is feminism. We have lost the plot. The other definition of tradwife, which I found, is a tradwife is a married woman who embraces traditional gender roles and values. The word is particularly used for a young woman who chooses to be a homemaker and shares her lifestyle online. It is closely associated with a 2020 social media trend, widely viewed as ultra-conservative. Let's just fucking stop the video, because honestly, why is that a sentence? Why is closely associated with a 2020 social media trend? Why is it a trend? I think something that's really important here is I want to look at the difference between why there's tradwives now, why there's been this big fucking rising in conservatism, versus what we were seeing a couple years ago, 5 years ago, 2020, 2021, when suddenly everybody was woke. It was blue hair pronouns. Ah, yes, blue hair pronouns. Bitch, I'm still here. I think it's important to see, the change between how women were trying to be one time and how they're trying to be now. It's like, whoop. Right. Quarantine and COVID-19, when all of that was going on, people being locked in their houses, it became a quote-unquote identity playground. It became a place where young people, actually not even just young people, all people, but especially young people, could explore their sexuality, explore their gender identity freely without any judgment from any third party. So people took advantage of that, rightfully so, and started experimenting with how they identified. And so people were using certain pronouns. There was a kind of whole thing of like the acknowledgement of non-binary people. So that was a thing, because obviously non-binary people have always existed, but it kind of became a very, very well-known thing. And so many people identified, so many people using they, them pronouns, or he, they, or she, they. So many people were experimenting with neo-pronouns. Women stopped catering to the male gaze, basically. It was like growing out armpit hair, body positivity was a massive thing. Everybody embracing themselves in the summer because everybody was inside for the summer. So what the fuck, who cares about how you look in a bikini, right? There was like this whole thing. It's weird to see, you know, so many women that used to identify a certain way. You'd think everybody was woke. You'd think even if there are certain women or certain girls that did identify a certain way but now don't anymore, which is completely fine. Experimenting with your identity is completely normal. But you'd think that if you were somebody who experienced maybe gender dysphoria, some backlash for coming out, you'd think you had some empathy for a bitch that is still gay, but no. You just lost all of it, and now you want to fucking be a conservative woman. You got a boyfriend who's homophobic, and now suddenly you're straight. Like, how we've lost the plot. In COVID, right, there was a whole thing of like being a girl boss, and how a girl boss was originally like a trend for like women doing things themselves, right? It was like women don't need men, we don't need men. And now it's kind of like been rebranded. Like the idea of being a girl boss, like a bad bitch, that has kind of been rebranded from like being an independent woman who doesn't need a man into being a woman that needs a man for her own gain. And look, I'm not going to shame a woman for using a man for his wallet, but also, why do you feel like you need a man to give you everything? Like, why does, you know, the idea of like, there's this whole fucking uprising. Oh my god, the worst thing in the world. The divine feminine, the dark feminine. What are we even talking about? Like, there's this whole thing of like so many influencers on TikTok that are like, get yourself a strong man that's gonna love a strong woman. And you're not even a strong woman. You don't even have a fucking job. You don't have a career. You don't have children. You have nothing. You just want a fucking man. You just want a man that can buy you shit, and then you don't do anything, and you don't have a job, and you have no life. All your whole entire life revolves around looking nice for a man, and then he buys you a fucking gift. Where are we? We're losing our minds. We're losing our minds. What happened to your big dreams? What happened to wanting to do good things? What happened to wanting to have a girlfriend? What happened to, like, what happened to the woke cottagecore lesbians? I'm losing my shit, bro. Like, I literally can't do this. What I want to say is, like, this whole kind of idea of, like, the divine feminine, or, like, oh, it's, like, me and my man against the world, or, like, whatever the fuck you want to say, how empowering it is. This whole idea of, like, being attached to a man, it's rebranding submission as empowerment. Because it's your choice, suddenly it's okay to, like, not care about anything but a man. Yeah, we gotta run it back. All these influencers everywhere, fucking Nora Smith. The rise of Nora Smith. She's a Trumpy. She's literally a fucking Trumpy. And people found out about this information. People found out she was a Trumpy and they were like, oh my god, I can't believe it. Why? She's a fucking traditional wife. She's the tradwife. Literally, suddenly everyone is no longer woke. Suddenly everybody wants to dress modest. It's like, what is happening? I want to make it clear that I do not have an issue with the way the women want to express themselves. I do not care if you are a woman that likes dressing more modest, or not even modest, but more basic, I guess. Like, if you want to wear a certain makeup style, like a vanilla makeup style, or that you want to have the clean girl aesthetic, there's no issue with that. I don't care, you know, if you're like that, or if you're instead more alternative, or you want to, you know, you do more bold makeup, or this and the next thing. I do not care which lane you stand in. The issue I have is why you're doing it. Why are you doing the no makeup look? Are you doing the no makeup look because you want to embrace your natural beauty? Or are you doing it because you know that men like women with less makeup on? Like, why are you doing it? Because if you're doing it to cater to a man, you need to unlearn that. Because as soon as you start kind of slowly giving in to what the patriarchy wants, God forbid I bring up the patriarchy, I'm sorry that I'm too woke, but as soon as you start doing that and kind of giving into traditional gender roles, those small things you do are going to guide you into a place where you are going to submit to a man. As soon as you start doing things for a man, you will continue to do that. And that is why so many bisexual women are trapped in relationships with certain men that do not agree with the fact that they are queer, right? And not even, it's not even queer women. So many straight women do this as well, where like they're in a relationship with a man, and because a man wants them to look a certain way in terms of the way they dress or their body or their face or anything, they will do that because they will do anything for love, so to speak, right? So it is a kind of thing where like I don't want to blame women because it's not necessarily women's fault. It is technically men's fault for creating a society where women feel this pressure and forcing these gender roles onto women. However, I do want so many women who don't feel the ability currently to express themselves freely. I want them to be aware that there are so many communities where you will feel like you can be yourself and you can express yourself. And I don't just mean queer communities. I don't just mean that bisexual women, go and find queer friends. Yes, because you will find men out there, and you can find men out there that will date you despite being bisexual, and they will care about your bisexuality, and they will acknowledge that you can date women and will date women, and that actually means something and that is part of yourself. The thing is, like, I don't just mean that. Like, I mean, even hanging with people who are more alternative, you can find crowds of people that are your people and that you relate to. You don't have to conform to a societal standard. But I think that's the best way I could have explained that. I have a few more things I want to say about other things, about other people, other communities. So I will be on that. And hopefully my next video comes out in less than 2 months. Goodbye and thank you for watching.